On September 5th, 2007, Steve Jobs introduced one of the most legendary, exciting new devices to the world, and that was the iPod Touch. Now, the iPod Touch, for those of you who don't know, is an iPhone, but you just can't call or text anyone on it. It was a legendary device because everyone who couldn't afford an iPhone or was too young to own a phone now had the chance to get the ultimate entertainment device. I remember when I got this thing, I was in awe. I was astounded. I was blown away by the sheer number of things you could do. You had apps like iBeer, where you hold up your phone and then pretend like you're drinking a beer and the beer's like moving around on the iPod Touch like you're actually holding up a glass of beer. Then there was iGun, where you could pretend like you were shooting someone. It like starts shaking the phone and making noises and it looks like you're shooting someone with a gun, but you're not. You're just using an app. The App Store was legendary because it was the first time in history that there was an entire library and catalog of entertaining games and activities that a lot of them were just free. You could just download them for free. You didn't have to pay any money and you could just have these things, and it was amazing. It was better than having any game console because there was just so much available for anyone to download. But some of the best games were paid for, like Doodle Jump, I think was like $1. That's a great game. Then there was Pocket God. I fucking love Pocket God. You take these little pygmies, which I think is a racist term, I'm not sure, but you take the pygmies and you try to kill them and just torture them. Legendary game. You could also like access your emails, which was like cool back then. That was like fucking awesome. Anytime you got an email, you were like, oh my god, I got an email. Someone emailed me. You could browse the internet. You could watch YouTube, which had this cool little fucking TV app icon. You could even jailbreak your iPod Touch, which was the scariest thing ever because the first time I jailbroke it, I thought I bricked it. I thought it was done. It was over. But then I just had to I think plug it into a power source. Then it was fine. And then now that it's jailbroken, I could do cool shit like change the theme of the iPod Touch, which isn't that cool, but I thought it was cool when I was like 13 or however old I was. Now, there were a ton of games and apps available, but there was one specific game that changed my life, that altered the course of history for me, and that I just spent way too much time on. And that was called Grawl Online Classic. Grawl Online Classic was a free-to-play iPod Touch MMORPG where you're in this world of basically ripped Zelda graphics, and you go around making friends, taking over clan towers, and buying hats to wear. There really wasn't much to the game in terms of like combat or doing quests or anything. I don't think there was any quests, but it was a fun place to be, to just talk to people and then build out your own house and do all sorts of stuff. And this game consumed my life for many years. But I think the most important thing that it did was taught me pixel art, because in the game you had a sword that you could slash grass with in order to get money, and then you had a shield which was just always in front of you. It didn't really protect you, it was just for show. And both of those things you could cosmetically change on your own. You could create your own sword or shield and email it to the admins of Grawl, and then you could just type in like the code they give you and you can completely change your shield and sword. And that was so fucking cool to me that I was like, you know what, I'm gonna learn how to make pixel art, because at the time I had no idea how to fucking do that. How do you just make pixel art? Didn't make sense to my brain. But eventually I downloaded a program called paint.net, and I would take the templates they had available and I would make my own swords and shield for the game. And every day after middle school I would run home and I would go on the family computer and just make fucking swords and shields and necklaces and shit all day, because it was the most exciting thing to me. And these are a couple examples of what my pixel art used to look like. It was not good, and since then I've gotten a lot better. It's still not where I want it to be, but I've definitely improved. But aside from pixel art, there was something else that was very exciting about the game, and that was glitching. In the game, you can put down bombs in order to attack people or in order to destroy large patches of grass in order to get more money. But there was a glitch in the game where if you push forward on the bomb on the side of it, on like the rounded edge of it, it would push you either left or right depending which side of the bomb you're on. And you could use this technique to go through walls, through trees, through all these areas you're not supposed to go through. And if you do it at a certain area of the game, you could access something called Nimda Island, which was just admin spelled backwards. It was an area that only admins of the game could access. The island, I think, was just like stuff they had planned for the future of the game, but no one was allowed to access it. And it was always everyone's dream to access it. Everyone I knew in the game was constantly trying to glitch their way into Nimda Island, and it was very difficult. You had to be precise. But there was one day where me and a group of friends went to Nimda Island. We swam over there and we were were at the edge of it and we started glitching our way through it. And eventually we got through, and it was the most excited I've ever felt in my life. I don't think I will ever feel that excited and happy in my entire life ever again as I did when I accessed Nimda Island. Just seeing shit that wasn't in the main game. Like there was a bowling alley, you couldn't access it, but you could see it. You're like, holy shit, there's a bowling alley and no one's ever seen this before except for me. And just other shit that you couldn't access but you could look at, and it was just different designs and buildings that wasn't in any other part of the game. And I was so excited. I was so fucking happy until I kept walking a little more and I got spawned back to the town square of the game, because apparently there was like secret blocks they had set up that were invisible, that if you stepped on them, they would spawn you back to the main area of the game in order to stop people that were glitching. And I went from being the happiest little kid in 6th grade to being fucking distraught. Now, aside from those two things, the game was still fun. You know, you got to meet new people, you got to like set up your house, you could join clans to go to clan wars and like take over these towers. And eventually I stopped playing the game, but mainly because I started getting into other MMORPGs where you could actually do something in the game and level up your character, because in this one there was no leveling system at all. So I started playing like Adventure Quest Worlds and Realm of the Mad God and just played more RuneScape, which I played my entire life, and I slowly stopped playing Grawl Online Classic. And from what I understand, the game has kind of died out, no one really plays it anymore, but that game will forever hold a special place in my heart. And if you played that game growing up, please let me know in the comments, because this game was such a big part of my middle school experience that I would really appreciate if anyone else played it, because I don't know a single person who has played this game except for me and my brother, and I would really love to know if other people had this same experience as me. And for all I know, maybe we met each other in the game and had no idea. But yeah, that was Grawl Online Classic, the iPod Touch MMO you've never heard of. Thank you guys so much for watching. I'll see you in the next video, and as always, have a great fucking day.